My maternal grandparents raised me, 27 female. My parents, dad 46, mom 56, are free spirits that didn't want to settle down and raise a child. Whatever. I saw them every few months when they would come by. Eventually, they stopped coming. I didn't miss them. My grandmother and grandfather were my parents. I'm getting married in March, and my invitations have all gone out. I invited my parents as guests. They're not part of the wedding or anything like that. I wasn't going to invite them, but my grandfather asked me to please let my bio mom be a part of my day. About a week ago, I spoke with my bio dad. He wants a +1 on their invitation. I had not seen him in years, so I thought maybe they had another kid and hadn't mentioned it. Nope. Apparently he and my mother have a man in his 30s that is part of their relationship. While neither myself nor my fiancé are particularly religious, and I have no objections to polygamous relationships in general, I would prefer not having to deal with that at my wedding. I told him that he and my mother were invited as a courtesy, but had no parental privileges for me to consider. He said that excluding their partner was mean, and that he wouldn't have left me with my grandparents if he knew they would raise me to be prejudiced. I've spoken with my grandparents about this, both sets. Nobody knew anything about this, so it seems like they were going to use my wedding to introduce this guy to the families. I called him back and I was very firm. I told him that I'd spoken with my wedding coordinator and ensured that no uninvited guests came to my wedding. Since we have the reception at a resort hotel in my city, they have security. I also spoke with the manager and explained that I might have uninvited guests trying to get into my wedding reception. He said that security would escort anyone like that off the property and call the cops if needed. All of this was relayed to my parents. Now they're complaining to everyone. I'm dealing with it by telling everyone who calls me to fight for them exactly why I'm excluding the person they want to bring. I just talked to my mother, and she screamed at me for telling people about her private business. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Private business, my butt. They want to parade that specific business at your wedding. Their situation and ask are so out there that I don't even know what to say. Seriously, OP's mom was an almost 30-year-old woman sleeping with a barely legal adult and then not taking care of the child. She lost her right to not have people in her business when she tried to intrude at your wedding. And how do they not understand they're not entitled to anything from you? This is all pretty mind-blowingly bad for a 40-plus and a 50-plus-year-old. Aha, that was my thought also. The mom is only mad because they were definitely going to use the wedding to flaunt their relationship. You can't lose your mind that your private business has been shared while also wanting to parade that same business at someone else's wedding publicly. I'm actually here chuckling to myself at the audacity. Poor OP. Hopefully you can laugh about this later. Ignoring the polyam angle for a minute, it sounds like your parents are trying to upstage your wedding. That's crass all by itself and a legitimate reason to decide you don't want them there. They're not there to celebrate you. They're there to tell people about their latest excitement. So tell them that they can send holiday cards to everyone announcing the happy expansion, but your wedding day is about your wedding. I love we wouldn't have abandoned you if we knew you were going to be raised like this, Lion Dad told you. You should totally come back with, but you did abandon me, and these are the consequences. Geez, I'm still not getting over the fact that Dad had you at 19 with a 29-year-old woman. Well, based on the fact that their new man is in his 30s, we can conclude that OP's mom likes her men young. OP, you don't owe your parents anything. They're lucky they're getting an invite at all. Plus, it's your wedding. So even if your decisions were irrational, it's your wedding. You're entitled to make whatever decision you want about that day. So I've been looking after my nephew and niece, my sister's 2 children, tween and pre-tween. Their school had to close unexpectedly for 2 days due to maintenance problems, and they spent both of those days under my supervision while she was at work. My sister and the kids' dad split up, and he now lives and works in a different country. My sister is vegan, and quite a militant one, always badgering my mom and me about eating non-vegan food in our own homes, even when she isn't there. Returning toys I bought my nephew and niece for birthdays and Christmas, etc. She will give her children a choice on whether or not to become fully vegan when they're a little bit older. Note, her children are not 100% vegan yet, but she's all right with non-vegan food being given to them when they go around friends' houses and at friends' birthday parties. Day 1. My sister had packed a vegan lunch for the kids to eat, while at mine, which the kids detested. They didn't eat all the food, and my sister blamed me. I think they'd seen some chocolate that I have and got a bit upset. I know the children have been picked on at school over the vegan foods their mom packs for them, and they wanted to try things the other children have. Day 2. Sister was in a rush and couldn't make her kids anything. Lunchtime comes around and I'm emptying my freezer before I do a big shop. So I put 2 pizzas, a barbecue chicken pizza and cheese pizza. The plan was to give them the cheese pizza. If I give my sister's kids non-vegan food, but suitable vegetarian food, she doesn't get as upset, and I would pick at the barbecue chicken pizza. The barbecue chicken pizza was quite big, and I did not offer it to the kids. But if the kids did have a few slices of the barbecue chicken pizza, then I wouldn't stop them. They have been and will be given a choice. Both of the kids did end up taking a couple of slices of the barbecue chicken pizza. Sister asked what the kids had eaten. The kids had seemed quite chipper when she came to collect them. They told her what they had eaten, and she asked to see me inside the house. She blows her lid at me that the kids should have known about the dangers of the meat on the barbecue chicken pizza first, and that they should have had controlled permission before having a slice, whatever that means. I mentioned that the kids aren't 100% vegan and have similar foods to the barbecue chicken pizza when they go to friends' birthday parties. She storms off, saying that I was rude about leaving the pizza open, and indirectly calls me a danger on the family group chat, as if I was letting her kids stick forks in plug sockets, rather than letting them eat a bit of pizza. She's the youngest, so a few family members take her side by default. They're not vegan either, and are giving me crap about it. What do you think? Am I the idiot? Dear sister, I'm sorry you feel I've put your kids in danger. However, as I would never want anything to happen to my dear nephew and niece, you should find a different babysitter from now on. Gotta go now, we're having a barbecue. Not the idiot, OP. She got 2 full days of free childcare. Next time, say no. This isn't an allergy or intolerance issue. It's a personal choice she's made. If she wants the kids to have a specific diet, she should ensure that she's provided it. You were doing her a favor by providing childcare. This is why vegans are considered idiots. You can't force people to do what you want and not expect pushback. Kids eat what they want, and when it's denied, they'll push harder. While I'm not saying this to let them eat and drink poisonous chemicals, the food that they want should be experienced to find out who they are and what they like. I, 20 female, just started working at a new job a few weeks ago. Everything has been smooth sailing with my coworkers, all fun, cool people, until yesterday. For a little context before I get into it, my assistant manager, Sherry, 45 female, has a son, Travis, 19 male. When I first started working and met her, the topic of relationships came up, and she asked if I was single. I told her, yes, I got out of a long-term relationship this past July, and I'm considering jumping back into the dating pool. She told me her son was around my age and would probably like each other, and asked if I'd be interested. I told her to let me think about it and that I'd get back to her. That was about 6 weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, I decided that going on a couple of first dates or outings with new people couldn't be too bad of an idea. So I told Sherry to let Travis know I was interested if he wanted to meet for coffee or something to test the waters. But I probably wouldn't be free until just after the new year because I'm busy with work and personal and family stuff. She said that sounded fine. And then yesterday happened. Sherry was talking about their kids in the back room with 2 of my other coworkers who were also moms. At some point, they were making jokes about spoiling their kids, and Sherry said Travis doesn't even make himself a sandwich, just goes into the kitchen and sits there and pouts because he knows Mama will come and do it for him. I rarely use this term, but I absolutely felt icked out by that. I asked her if she was being serious, and she laughed and said, yes, he's just a mama's boy. As we were leaving later, I pulled her aside and told her I wasn't interested in going out with her son anymore. After she pressed me about why several times, I admitted that the sandwich thing turned me off and that I would never go out with a man who seemed so dependent or unwilling to do things himself. Sherry got upset and told me that I'm not a mom and don't know what I'm talking about, and that surely I expect my parents to still do things for me, and stormed off. I'm getting off my break here in a minute, but she hasn't spoken to me all day, and I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong here. Was I the idiot? I guess she's sick of making his sandwiches and is hoping you'll take over that role. It was grossly inappropriate for her to suggest it in the first place, in my opinion. You are not the idiot. But the next time, tell the people who want to make you a blind date with a friend or relative, thanks, but I don't mix work with personal. Or thanks, but if things don't work, I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position. OMG, exactly this. She wants to pass him to the next woman. OP, my only criticism is that you should have said no from the beginning to situations like this. If you had gone on a date and found him lacking, then I'm sure your colleague would have reacted the same way. Not well. How dare anyone not love her precious baby boy? Oh no, she won't stop this. She'll boss and bully whoever gets with him. They'll never be up to mom's standards. At 20, I assumed people older than me knew better than me. I was shocked to read that a 45-year-old would pull this at work, but now that I'm older than that, I shouldn't even be a little shocked. LOL, don't get your honey where you make your money. Absolutely cracked me up. Hun, you're 20 and still learning about all these things. The assistant manager should have known better, though this situation is on her. But based on what you mentioned about her relationship with her son, her behavior is wholly unsurprising. Sounds like she struggles with boundaries. You're not totally naive, though, if you had the wisdom to avoid a huge mama's boy. Keep that up for sure, and you'll thank yourself later. Update. Thank you to everyone so far who has provided their feedback. I just got home from work a few minutes ago, and I've been trying to read through all the comments, answer any questions, or provide clarification. I completely agree with all of you that said I shouldn't have agreed in the first place. That was absolutely my mistake, and I was entirely naive about how things would play out. It seemed totally innocent and no big deal to me, and I'm very much used to older women in my life trying to set me up with their sons. It's not something I've had to confront the past 4 years because I could say I'm taken, but now that I'm single and open and trying to meet new people again, it's not easy to navigate. I guess I didn't think much of it since I haven't dated anyone new since I was 16. And I still look at these new date situations like I'm still 16. Either way, I'm not mixing work with personal like that ever again. I've learned my lesson. My son B doesn't like men and never has. I don't know why. She loves the men in our family and can obviously work with men casually and professionally, but when it comes to personal relationships, absolutely not. Her male friends lasted only a short time. The only personal relationship I've ever seen her have with a man that wasn't part of our family was with her late husband. They married right out of college until he passed away almost 3 years ago. She's never expressed interest in dating men since. My husband's brother, Rick, has always struggled with dating. He always liked B and didn't hide it. About a year after B's husband passed, he begged my husband and me for approval to try to go out with her. I didn't want him to because she's never expressed interest in dating anyone since, and it would make things awkward either way, but my husband convinced me to give it a try because they were both lonely, and it's just a question. So I did. I told B, who obviously wasn't interested, but said she'd be fine turning him down gently if she didn't have to be alone. So we planned to have dinner for just the 4 of us at a local Chinese buffet. As we thought, Rick spent all night trying to flirt with B. I'm not sure if it was the food or not, but she was starting to feel not right, and it seemed like it would be okay with some time and air. We finished dinner and walked over to a park. When he finally asked her out, she opened her mouth to respond and threw up. Not a little bit either, like a full stomach clearing out. He tried to laugh it off, but she just said, "I'd rather not," before apologizing profusely and leaving as quickly as possible. The night ended there. Rick is now mad at us for letting him be humiliated like that and thinks my sister should give him a chance at least. My husband is mad at me for not convincing my sister to do one date, and his mother thinks I expressly set Rick up to humiliate him and destroy the confidence he'd struggled so long to build up. My sister says she didn't puke on purpose, but isn't willing to go out with him because she doesn't want to do a pity date. I didn't do anything wrong. I told him it wouldn't work. I got my sister to come out and try, and it all went wrong. Obviously, I didn't know it would be like that, but things happen. Not the idiot. You and your sister already went beyond what you were comfortable with out of politeness. Whether the throwing up was due to nerves or bad food or something else, it truly seems symbolic of her level of interest. Now your husband and his brother are becoming obnoxiously entitled and manipulative. If anything, it's your sister who was put out and embarrassed by this whole thing. It sounds like she only came to turn him down gently. They need to back off right now. They both need swift, hard, figurative kicks up the backside. You can't pressure, guilt trip, and manipulate someone into liking you. They need to get that through their heads and then let it go. The OP is the idiot for setting up this weird, let him down gently double non-date. I'm completely baffled as to why he had to be told no in person by the OP's sister, and why the decision was made to do it in a romantic pseudo-date setting of a meal, followed by a walk in the park. Your sister declines other men several times, your brother-in-law included, and yet 3 people forced her to date? Leave that poor woman alone. The incident is a side issue here, honestly. By ignoring your sister's no, your husband and his brother are crossing the line into harassing her. They also double suck for running to mommy about this, and she sucks for enabling their harassment because God forbid anyone says no to her precious little angel. You will be an idiot if you continue to allow the harassment of your sister. I would be seriously thinking about what this situation says about your husband's character. I, 26, recently got married to my wife, 24. We decided for our honeymoon that we would spend a week on my parents' vacation property with a dock and a boat, and then drive to the closest port for a cruise. During our stay at the vacation property, there was an issue with the boat. It was pretty minor, and I told my dad about it, and he insisted he come over and check it out and fix it. He said he'd be there for a few hours and be out of our hair. I told my wife, and she reluctantly agreed because it was his boat that had an issue. He came over and fixed the boat, and I felt bad, so I offered to go out with him and grab lunch, my treat. I felt bad that he drove 2 hours during a work week to fix up the boat for us to enjoy, and I wanted to treat him to a few beers and lunch. So we left, and we got back after 2 hours. He left, and we went back to our honeymoon. The issue is that after the honeymoon, she complained that I let him invade our honeymoon and that I even went out with him during our honeymoon. It wasn't an issue since it was his damaged property, and he made an effort to help us enjoy our time. I feel like it's no big deal. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. He did y'all a solid so you all could use the boat. It'd be different if you went to Bora Bora and he was like, "Surprise, witches," wearing a straw hat and a pina colada in hand. Your wife needs to get a grip and show some gratitude toward the family she married into. Disagree. You are the idiot. His coming to fix it was nice of him, as is you wanting to thank him, but you could have scheduled to take him out after your honeymoon was over. You took him out to lunch in the middle of your honeymoon. What a terrible idea. Your wife is understandably annoyed about it. Oh my God, how dare OP take a few hours to have lunch with his dad, who dropped by to fix his boat for free for OP and his wife to use. Such a terrible idea. This is ridiculous. If I was in OP's wife's position, I would be so grateful that he took a day off and drove 4 hours round trip to fix the boat we were using for free. You all act like honeymoons are some sort of sacred ritual. I swear, what kind of BS entitlement are we seeing here? Why didn't she just join them and make a day of it? Dude, I'd be reevaluating my relationship.